Hi, my name is Cormac McCarthy and I'm here today to talk about Excelerator, give you a quick overview of the product, what the product is about, talk about some of the features, and explain how our customers use the product and how they benefit from it. First of all, I guess, is to explain the concept, and the concept is data entry or data capture. We look at Excelerator as another way of capturing data rather than standard ERP forms, and that way is using Microsoft Excel. So Excelerator is a Microsoft Excel add-in, and it brings all the familiarity that's available within Excel insofar as Excel is widely used, it's intuitive, it's quick to pick up. Excel is flexible insofar as we can share the data between people. As we key in the data, one person can key it in, somebody else can check it before it's posted to Sage. Or if the data is held in 3 or 4 different sources, we can pass the Excel sheet to each person and they can fill in the information that's relevant to them. Then we come to this functionality, and in here is where we're looking at the functionality that's available in Excel for data capture, and how Excel is an excellent tool at capturing data and presenting it. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about Excelerator and the features that are available within Excelerator. And there's 3 key features. It's got integration, it's got two-way integration. We can pull information from Sage down onto the spreadsheet, and we can save the information from the spreadsheet back to Sage. It's got validation, and validation is where it enforces the Sage business rules. If you cannot do it in Sage 200, you won't be able to do it using Excelerator. And then we got the customization. So without further ado, I'll just go in and show you Excelerator in action. So we open up our Excel sheet, and I'm running Microsoft Excel 2016 64-bit, and I'll open up an Excelerator template. And an Excelerator template is an Excel file that's designed for use by Excelerator, and this template is for the nominal journals. Excelerator is a Microsoft Excel add-in and appears on the ribbon. So when I go across the top, I click on the Excelerator ribbon and I click on the login, and now I'm logging into Sage 200. Excelerator does not take up a Sage 200 user, and whereas I have Sage 200 open in the background for the purposes of this demonstration, it does not have to be open. Excelerator can work exclusively from within the Excel spreadsheet. So here's my journal template, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly key in a journal. So I'll give it a journal title, not enough hours in the day. I'll give it a date, and I'll select 2 nominal codes. So I right click and browse. I pick the 2 nominal codes, click OK. I put in the debit amount and I put in the credit amount. So let's see what's in Sage 200 already. So I'll go into the nominal ledger Sage 200, and the journal I'm processing is actually a health journal. So I'll go to the health journals in Sage 200, and we can see that there's 1 journal in there at the moment. So I'll close that down, back into my Excelerator, and up here in the Excelerator there is a panel for NL journals, and I click on Save to Sage, and that saves the journal off into Sage 200. Pop back into my Sage 200, open up my health journals, and hey presto, there's my not enough hours in the day. The journal has been posted straight into Sage 200. Okay, so that's saving the data from the spreadsheet into Sage 200. Let's have a look at the next one, which is where we have the two-way integration. And in order to do that, I'll come up here to the ribbon and I'll click Clear All, and that clears the template for me and clears the data off the template. So I'm now going to key in another journal. So I'll give it a journal title. And when I come to the date, I click on the date field and I do a right click. And when I go right click, I can browse. And that allows me to browse the actual dates. So I can click here and select the year 2016. And I pick a date in 2016 and it drops it back into the spreadsheet. If I go to the journal type, I can do right click and browse. And that allows me to pick the journal type. There's 2 types, held or post. We've already done a held journal, so this time I'm going to select the post option. And I'll drop it back into the spreadsheet. And from there, it's on the sheet. I then go to the posting options, and again I do a right click and browse, and I'll select a single journal. If I go to the VAT codes and I do a right click and browse, it brings up a list of the VAT codes that's relevant to this data set in this company. This is a live integration to Sage data, so it's pulling the data as it exists in Sage 200. If I go to the nominal codes and I do a right click and browse, in here I got a list of all the nominal codes. Okay, let's have a look at how this list works. I can select the nominal code by double clicking on it, and it drops it to a lower box. And what I'm doing here is I'm selecting multiple nominal codes at the same time. If I scroll down, I can use the shift key to select a range of nominal codes and drop them into the box beneath. I can search for a nominal code. If I type in a nominal up here, top right hand corner, type in a nominal account 411, I can pick off the nominal code, or I can actually search by the account name. If I type in ACCR, it brings up all the accounts that have the words letters ACCR, all the accrual accounts, and I select the account I want and drops it into the below sheet. When I click OK, it drops all of those accounts back into my spreadsheet, into my Excelerator template, because the fields are defined as to where they're going to appear on the template. So let's have a quick look at what we got available in the template, and the fact that we got all the power of Excel. So we got formulas like the total the debits, we have another formula to total the credits, a formula to total the difference between the two. I have a formula here embedded in the template, and that gives me the actual narrative, and the narrative is made up from the journal title followed by the month and year from the date. So if I change the journal title, for example, I'm changing my narrative. So the next thing I wanted to look at is other features that are available in Excel. If I type in £10, £20, and I can then highlight my two cells and drag down, and it fills the cells in for me. I can use for features like the auto sum, so I click on the auto sum and it tots up the highlighted cells. So all the features in Excel are available to me, and it just makes it faster to key in the data. Using formulas and things like this also helps quite a lot. Okay, on this occasion I'm doing a post journal, and because I'm doing a post journal, when I go back to my Excelerator ribbon and go to the NL Journal panel and click on Save to Sage, this time I'm posting a journal and it assigns a journal number, whereas the last time it was a held journal, this time it's a post journal and it assigns a journal number and saves it onto the spreadsheet for me. So if I go back to the actual spreadsheet, I can copy the journal number back into my Sage 200, and in the Sage 200 Accounting System Manager, let me shrink these up first. In Sage 200 Accounting System Manager, Transaction Audit Trail List, I paste in the journal number, press enter, and there's the journal I just posted with the values in the journal. So posting the information into Sage, validating that posting the information to Sage, and integrating, pulling data down from Sage onto the spreadsheet is standard power within Excelerator. The next thing I want to talk about in Excelerator is where we actually enforce the Sage business rules, or the validation, and how we can prove that the data that's coming from Excel goes to Sage and only valid data will go to Sage. So in this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to key into invalid nominal codes. I'll clear out the journal number. Yeah, I'll change the journal name, or a journal title. Okay, I go back up to my Excelerator ribbon, and up here we got and for the NL journals we got a validate button, and the validate button checks the data and reports the errors in a list to the right hand side, so as I can see the errors as they occur. If I want to go quickly to where the error occurred, I can just click on the panel and it takes me directly to the row where the error occurred. So I'm just going to put on the fast entry in here for a second, and I'm going to key in a journal account number, 411, tab off. Here are all the journal account numbers that are available in 411. I can use the arrow keys, select, and down we come. I go to my next error, and I can use the validate panel to quickly select by just clicking on the validate panel. It takes me to the row where the error occurred. So I go back to the row where the error occurred. And in this occasion, I'll type in bank charges maybe. Let's have a look, see if we can find a bank account, bank space CH. Tab off the field, and the accounts with bank CH come up. I can now select which account that I'd like, and it drops it back into the spreadsheet. Okay. Now when I click validate, it comes up with no errors found, which means that my journal is now ready for post, as I've dealt with all the errors I've encountered. So what we've done at this stage is we've done the two-way integration and the validation. We've pulled information down onto the spreadsheet and we saved the information from the spreadsheet back to Sage. And we've also shown how the Sage business rules are enforced in order that the data will always be consistent with Sage and accurate to the Sage requirements. What I'll do at this stage now is we'll have a look at another feature that's available in Excelerator, and this is known as customization or the designer. So I go back to my panel, I click on the designer button, and on the right hand side I get a panel with all the fields that are available when I'm putting in a nominal journal in Sage 200. So I click where I'd like the first field to appear, and I tick the box, and it adds the field into the screen. Let me just turn off the fast entry there. Okay. Here are my list of fields, so I click where I want the next field to appear, and I tick the box, and it adds it onto the Excel sheet. And I can continue like this, adding the fields as the Excelerator moves to the next available field, or I can click the box where I want the field to appear, click in the cell, and just tick the boxes where I want them to appear. So that's my header data put in. So now I need to put in the journal details, or how many rows I'm going to put on the journal. And in this occasion I'm going to do 100 rows. I open up my journal details, and I'm going to start with the nominal account. So I tick the box for nominal account, and it adds the nominal account into the spreadsheet, the nominal cost center, and the nominal department. I scroll down and I got the debit amount, and I got the credit amount. Okay, so this I've now designed my template. If I now do a right click and browse, I can add different journal posting options. If I do right click and browse on the journal type, I got the different types of journal, the post or the held. If I do a right click and browse on the account number. So this is the template, the same as what we were looking at a few minutes ago. So it's as easy as that to define the template and lay it out, and that gives us a lot of flexibility when it comes to actually keying in data and making it in a consistent and meaningful manner. Okay, let's have a look at what else we can do. I can change the name, the column names are default names, they're only labels, and you can change them if you're unhappy with the label to something that's relevant to you. I can download posted and unposted journals, and this is a quite nice feature. It allows us to pull the data out of Sage 200. So for example, if we wanted to reverse a posted journal, we can quickly download the posted journal, move the debits and credits, and post back up, and it would reverse the journal. But in this particular instance, I'll just pick one of the unposted journals, the one that I did earlier, and as you can see, there's our unposted journal on the spreadsheet. So I guess that's gone through the three main features of the software: the two-way integration, the validation and enforcing the Sage business rules, and then the designer. But ultimately also a big player in all of this is actually Excel, and being able to use the features and functions of Excel to prepare your data and speed up data capture and data entry. Let's now have a look at the way people have of using the software, and there's 4 main ways of using the software. And the first one I want to talk about is this idea of bulk upload and bulk download. And the example I'm going to show you is based on a dashboard, an Excel dashboard, and it's pulling data from Sage 200, and it just gives us a list of our top 10 customers, and there's some spark lines to the left, a few slices and dices, and then there's the graphs in there as well. And the graph I want to focus on is the one that is known as a sunburst chart. So I'll just expand that a little bit. And effectively what we have here is we have a graph that gives a list. It's 2 pie charts. The inside layer of the pie chart is the salespeople, and outside that are the customer type. And both of these are analysis codes in our Sage 200. And as you can see, the customer type is not properly filled in, and it's missing quite a lot of data. So let's see how quickly we can populate that data and fill it in. I open up an Excelerator template for customers. And the next thing we notice is that the template that I have here at the moment, it's actually only got 1 analysis code on there, so I need to add the second analysis code, and I'm going to do that by using the designer. So I go back to my customers, click on the designer, go to the trading, and go down to analysis codes, click where I want analysis code 2 to appear, and tick the box. Just untick it and tick it again. And there's the box. There's analysis code 2. So I can close that down. I go back to my customers, and on the download on customers, it allows me to select which customers I want to download. In this case, I'll add all the customers. Click OK, and it drops them back into the spreadsheet for me. Very good. Well, what we now need to do is we need to look at this data. This is standard Excel sheet, and a lot of the features that are available in Excel would be available on the sheet. So if I go, for example, to the data tab, and I go to filter, and I go to analysis code 2, I can filter by all the blanks, and here I can list of all the blank account types or transaction customer types. So I'll clear that out, and this time I'm actually going to sort them by analysis code 2, and you can see all the blank guys coming across the top. So these are my analysis code 2. I want to fill that in, so I do a right click and browse, and here are the options that are available for entering the analysis code 2 in my sales ledger. I highlight a couple of the fields and I drag them down, and at this stage I filled out the information to go back to Sage. I click into Sage, I do a right click and I do a refresh. And we see that it has no impact as yet because the data as yet hasn't been saved. So what normally happens in this scenario is we would download the spreadsheet and we'd split it up and separate it out by salesperson, and we'd pass the spreadsheet to each salesperson and get them to fill out the customer types for the specific salespeople. So I click Save to Sage. And it's saving the data off the Sage 200. Back we go, back into my dashboard, do a quick right click and a refresh, and it updates the data for customer type. So this is one way of the bulk upload and bulk download. As I say, it's quite effective in that you can download all your customers and split them up, or you can download all your products, for example, and give them to different people. You can split the spreadsheet up either by product group or by certain fields. Let the person who would know that information or be responsible for that information to fill it out. They'd return the spreadsheet to you, and you can then post it back to Sage with a couple of clicks. It's just getting the data in and out of Sage is a matter of simplicity. The next example I want to run through is actually speed of entry and how quickly we can get data to be keyed in using Excelerator. And what we're looking at here is we're looking at how our customers use the data, and so a lot of the feedback you're seeing here are live examples from customers who want things. And this example I'm going to run through here is purchase ledger invoices, and how we can quickly get the information and use a kind of Excel grid to key in the suppliers and their data. So I go to the supplier account number, I right click and I browse, and again I got a list of all my suppliers. I pick the supplier that I want to work with, and I click OK, and then I fill in the invoice number, the invoice date, and the amount. I come to the next row, and just to turn on fast entry there. Fast entry is toggled on and off, and when we toggle it on, we can type in characters and tab off the field, and it will allow us to search for that by that field. I use the arrow keys, drop it back, fill in my invoice number. I can use shortcut keys to copy the data from the row above, and I key in my amount. So what we're working on here is that the information in this side over here on the right hand side, this is all formulas, and we don't have to key the data in. That data can be filled in automatically either by Excel, or it can be on the spreadsheet already. And what we find is that the formulas are customizable insofar as you can define your own formulas and embed them, and you've got complete control over that. Having the fields where the data is entered to the left means that we don't have to tab across unnecessary fields. We have a quick look at some of the formulas. We have one here for second reference, for example, and the second reference is based on the year, the month, and a sequential number. And it takes the sequential number from above and it copies it down. The due date is again a formula. Let me unprotect the spreadsheet there for a second. By protecting the spreadsheet, you can control what the customer, what the users can actually enter. So you can see here that there's a formula for the due date is the date plus 30. If there is no due date on the spreadsheet, it will take the date that's on the it will use the Sage parameters to determine what the due date is going to be. So we got our data filled in at this stage and ready to post to Sage. But what we're finding is that our customers actually pre-fill the spreadsheet, and by that I mean we know the suppliers who send us invoices every month. They're regular suppliers, they're regular invoices. So instead of having to search for them each month, we can search for them once and save the spreadsheet, so as the next time when we load the spreadsheet, the suppliers are already in the spreadsheet. If the supplier is getting invoices over multiple nominal codes, we can set them up. If the supplier, we expect 2 invoices from the same supplier, we can configure that. And that just means that when we're keying in the invoices, now all we have to fill in is the invoice number and the date and the amount. If the supplier hasn't any invoices on this month, we simply leave the date blank. We can always add another supplier if they're not in the sheet. So we got control, and it's much faster and easier to key it in. This, by the way, is quite good as well for delegation, where if you have somebody new starting, you can pass this spreadsheet to the new beginner, give them a stack of invoices and get them to key in the invoices, and when they're finished keying them in, they can bring them back to you so that you can overview and see what's going on. So let's have another look at this. Is another way we can do speed up data entry, and in this example we're looking at sales orders, and we're looking at sales orders by customer. And effectively what we have is we have a tab for each customer, and the products that customer normally buys, or the products we'd like that customer to buy, are already on the spreadsheet, so as we don't have to search for them. So what we would do is we pick the customer, and once we have the customer selected, the products, as I say, are already in the spreadsheet. Where those products come from can either be from a business intelligence tool or a report or something that says what products does this customer normally buy. And we've always got the facility to add products if we would like them to buy particular products that they haven't bought in the past. It's an Excel sheet, and it's up to us what products we put on the Excel sheet. Once the products are on the Excel sheet, we can key in the quantity that the customer wants to order. Let me just steady the screen down a bit and key in the quantity again. And as you can see, it's actually filling out the order. And any line where there's 0 quantity, it simply won't save that line on the order. So that's one way of speeding up data entry is to do with sales orders. What we've seen an example, or what we've come across quite often as well, is that the Excel sheet is emailed to the customer, and the customer fills out the quantities and then emails the client their order back. The next example, again, it's sales orders, and it's something similar, but I guess it's more a case of something where the users are familiar with a particular layout or a particular screen, where the products are batched in groups, and we can key in the quantity again against the individual products. And as we key the quantities in, we put another one in here. What's actually happening is that there's a secondary sheet here, a secondary tab, and on this sheet there's formulas which pulls the information from the last sheet down onto the sales order entry sheet and allows us to capture the order very quickly. So then it's a case of save to Sage. Okay, the next one I'm going to show you is intercompany. What we're looking at here is we got a purchase order that generates a sales order, and effectively what we're looking at is we have two companies. We have one company called Sage 200 Demo and another company called Excelerator Demo, and we have the product codes in here, and the theory behind it is we'd fill out the purchase order and that automatically populates the data for the sales order. Right click and browse, and I can select, and I'll select multiple here for the moment. What has happened is that it automatically puts the information into the sales order field because we got formulas embedded in the sales order, which is pulling the information from the purchase order onto the sales order. That saves us having to key the data in again. And sometimes if we're keying in descriptions and things like that, they automatically come across as well, so we don't have to worry about it. We key in the order quantities, and as you can see, they're actually filling into both the purchase order and they're filling into the sales order because of the formulas we have embedded in there. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a purchase order in one company and a sales order in another company. The next one I want to talk about is this idea of electronic data, where we can get data in Excel format from other sources. And the first one I'm going to talk about is the idea of a credit card company or a bank statement, where I go onto the website and I can download the transactions into Excel from my credit card. Most credit card companies allow this at the moment, and if they don't allow you to do it in Excel, they will allow you to do it in CSV, so you will be able to download them. Once you've downloaded them, I've set up a template which is designed for this particular download. So I go back into my the sheet I've downloaded from the bank, from the website, and I do a copy. Back into the credit card company, credit card template, my apologies, and I paste. In this example, what I have is I have a different bank account for each credit card. So once I've copied the data in, you'll notice that really I've only copied up as far as column K. Everything over here to the right are formulas that pulls information from what I downloaded. So we strip characters out of the reference, and then we use VLOOKUP to search for those characters to see if we've encountered them before and which nominal code we posted them to on that occasion, and we can default that nominal code in here. Likewise with the VAT code. So it just is a quick way of getting the data in, and this is Excel features that allow us to do that. Once we have the data ready to go, we can then start looking at how we put it into Sage 200. So I pop into Sage 200, I go to my cash book, have a look at all my bank accounts, go down to the credit card company number 7, our credit card bank account, and as you can see, there are no transactions in there at the moment for the credit card bank account. So I'll close that down. Back into my Excel sheet, and I go save to Sage. And that saves the data of the Sage 200. Back into my credit card, open up my credit card bank account, and here presto, there are all my transactions now posted into my bank account. So what it can do, it can quickly assemble. Once we have the data in Excel, and we've got the power of Excel to be able to push that data and format it and pull or record what has been used in the past and quickly populate it so as it can be pushed back into Sage 200. Then I now want to talk about other examples. So that's off a website. The next one I want to talk about is maybe third-party products. And in this particular one, I'm looking at a time clocking system where we have employees clocking in and out of a job. And we need to generate a journal entry, and we need to break the journal entry down based on the job number and based on the employee. So I have a template, or a Excelerator template ready to go here at the moment, and it's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here to my the Excel file that I got from my time management system, and I'll copy the data. So I'll highlight the data and copy it. Back into my Excel sheet, and I have a tab called data, so I'll just go to the tab called data and I'll paste the data into that tab. So I need to summarize this by employee and job number, and the way I do that is by means of a pivot table. So I have a pivot table, and I'll just refresh the data in the pivot table, and that pulls the information from the data and it's sorted by employee and job number, so that I can get quite quickly get the data total by employee and job number. When I click back into my Excelerator template, you'll notice the data is in there, and the reason for that is that we're pulling the information off the pivot table by means of formulas back into my Excelerator template, so it's ready to post. And you can see that it got different job numbers, so it's broken down by job number. Now the example I'm using at the moment is time management system. Obviously there are many other ways that data can be pushed into Excel from third-party products, but I think this is a good example, and it's one that we have encountered in the past. I click Save to Sage, and it's saved that journal off as a held journal on this occasion. So I close down my time management example. The next one I want to look at is where we're actually the data is not coming from the website or from a third-party product, but where Excel is used to transfer data within a company from one department to another. And quite often the accounts department has to collect information from many different sources, and an Excel sheet is quite useful to do this. So you fill out or you lay out your Excel sheet with the information that you know your colleagues have to fill out, and sitting in the background we have an Excelerator template behind it. So the example I have here is an expense sheet. And I've already filled in receipts number 852 and 853, so I go back to my expense sheet, and the user would key in the receipt number, fill in the date, fill in the description, put in the amount, and fill in the nominal and categorize it into a different nominal code. And when I click back into my Excelerator template, you'll now see that receipt number 854 has been filled in, and the nominal code has been, the data appears from the correct nominal code. So it's a fast way of pulling the information through. Once you've checked it and made sure that the information, that the spreadsheet you got from the different departments is correct, the Excelerator template will then allow you to push that quickly back into Sage 200. So I'm going to move on now to the fourth method of pulling in data, and this one is what we call recycling data. And the example, this is where we get data from Sage 200, where Sage or even most ERP systems can suggest that this should be done with the data. And the example I have here is a purchase order example, to be honest. Let me have a look. If I go to my purchase order processing, and inside in purchase order processing I got a report in the status, and it's called a stock reorder report. And this stock reorder report suggests products that need to be purchased, and it's based on the reorder level of the stock item and the current stock level, and whether there's an order already in existence. So we open up the report, we select the depot, and we run the report. Now there are many ways of getting the data into Excel from within Sage 200. There's the Excel reporting, there's the business intelligence, and this example we're using the Sage Report Designer. So what I'm going to do is click on View, and this is the layout of the report, giving me a list of the items that need to be ordered and other details involved inside there. And what I can do with these files, because this is a standard Sage 200 report, or I can go to the export and I can select I should say this is a standard feature within Sage 200 reportings. I can select that I want to export it in Excel 2007 format, and I give it a name. And I click save. So that has now saved the data in Excel format for me. So the next step is to close down my spooler, and I go to the Excel file, which I know is in the documents area, and I click on it and I open it up. And within the report designer in Sage 200, you can select which section is going to be exported in Excel, and this is what this Excel sheet looks like at the moment. And what would normally happen in these circumstances is that we'd pass this Excel sheet down to the guys in the store or the guys in the warehouse, and they will go out and check to make sure that the information on the spreadsheet is correct. Obviously it's a spreadsheet, so they have full permission to make changes if they want, or even add a product on. They don't need to know the product code at this point in time. They can fill out the product code, and when they return the sheet back to accounts, they can then update the correct product code. So what I'm going to do with this stage is I can now design a template around this particular Excel file. Or what I'm going to do is I'm going to load a template that I built previously and saved. So I built a template and I saved it. So I go into an area called load range definitions, and there's my purchase order template definitions that I want. I click save, and it builds a template around the purchase order ready for me to import. So I click OK, I close down my template, I go to purchase orders, and I click save to Sage. So this now saves the data off the Sage 200. There's 3 different purchase orders. I think there's 3 different suppliers. You'll see there that the same supplier appears in the first 2 rows, so they're both put on the same purchase order. It's the same supplier. I click OK. I go back to my Sage 200. Let me close down the spooler. And if I go purchase order list, and I sort them by purchase order number descending, you'll see here the purchase order numbers, and here's the purchase order number that has got 2 lines on it, and when I double click it opens it up. And all the rules that apply in Sage 200 about authorization or whatever, they are also enforced through Excelerator, because Excelerator is using the Sage 200 database. So if it needs authorization, it'll need authorization via Excelerator. I click OK, and you can see I got my 2 lines in there. So that's where I pulled the information down, and then pushed it back up again. Got a report to pull the information down, identify what items needed to be ordered, and I use Excelerator to push it back up via Excel. So again, this is, as we say, this is called recycling data, where we're taking data out of Sage. And the example and next example I'm going to give is where we're actually, it's related insofar as it's making sure that the stock reorder levels are correct, and we're looking at how we can calculate the stock reorder levels. Because if you recall the last report when I ran, I said it based the reorder whether by the stock reorder level and the current level of the stock item. Well, this particular Excel example is going to look at how we can configure the stock reorder level, or how we can configure the stock minimum stock level, so that the information is going to be correct in Sage 200 in order that when we run that report, it can have meaningful data. So what I have here is I got a business intelligence tool, and I pulled down all my product codes, and along with my product code I got a list of the suppliers and the lead time, and I got things like the minimum level and the reorder level. I'll refresh the data. Okay, and over here on the right hand side I have got dates, January the 1st, January the 8th, and this is the quantity of the product that has been sold on each of those dates. So I can quite quickly calculate an average weekly sale. If I know how much of each product is sold each week, I can calculate an average weekly sale, and if I know the lead time, I can calculate the lead demand, or how much product I need while I'm waiting for my PO to come in. And usually what happens is we add the lead demand to the minimum stock level, and that gives us our reorder level. So we round the 15.999 up to 16. Our minimum stock level is 50 at the moment, so we end up with 66 as our reorder level. But we can also look at the minimum stock level and the safety stock level, and we can use formulas. Again, they're formulas designed in order to calculate these numbers, and we can calculate using the standard deviation, and then we can use that standard deviation to calculate a new minimum stock level. And what I didn't look at doing is using that minimum stock level and the lead demand or to calculate our reorder level. And as you can see there, we have a new reorder level, and we have an average cost price, and we can see the value that we're overstocked on these various products. And up here on top we have the total value that we're overstocked. So we're overstocked by about £120,000. So what I'm going to do is I'll just scroll down here for a moment, and you can see there are quite a lot of items in there, and to maintain all those items can be a challenge. But you also see that some of them are highlighted in red, and what has happened there is that the reorder level is actually too low. We're going to run out of that stock, and we're not going to have it when we require it. Okay, so just to the right of all of these calculations and permutations is my Excelerator template. And we got formulas here which are just going to pull the information so as we can push it back up and update Sage 200. As I say, there's quite a lot of stock items there, but you could have thousands of stock items. To try and maintain those numbers can be a challenge. However, using Excel, well, it becomes feasible. So I log into my Excelerator. Select the company. Go across my ribbon, see the stock module, and I click Save to Sage. So what that's now doing is that it's updating the data in Sage 200, my reorder level and my minimum stock level. So if I were to refresh my sheet once I ran the update, then my reorder level and minimum stock level will be correct, and my stock, I won't be overvalued in stock anymore. So let me see. I have now ran, it's updated the records. I click OK. 120,000 is the value. I go to data. I go to refresh all. And when I refresh the data, it brings my overstock value down to 0, because it's now got the correct reorder level and the correct minimum stock level as defined by formulas in the spreadsheet. These formulas in the spreadsheet are totally up to the user. You know, I mean, you can have your own method of calculating the reorder level and the minimum stock level. The challenge is to get those figures into Sage in a timely manner so that you can use them to do on your purchasing. And that's what we're looking to address here, and that's what we're addressing. At this stage now, we ran through the 4 main ways we have of the 4 main uses that we have seen. Each of those uses can have multiple different applications, but the first one was this idea of bulk upload and bulk download, and we talked about the dashboard. The second one was the speed of entry and how we can get information into Sage 200 quite quickly using Excel. Our third was this idea of electronic data and how Excel is now the standard for data integration or data transfer between different applications. And our fourth option here is this idea of recycling Sage data, where we take data from Sage, and rather than having to retype it back into Sage again, we can use calculations and push it back into Sage and update the Sage using information that's already within Sage.